Hello everyone, I am Tacet and welcome to the Gems of War Tower of Doom stream, week 9, day 3. Today we're going to be finishing up most of the rest of Tower of Dooms, but the main thing we're going to be going over, at least initially, is the 4.4 and 4.5 stuff. The developers did a Q&A last night, as I mentioned earlier, and yeah, we have all that info to go over now. Someone luckily ends up accumulating all that too, so even easier now, since there's just a single location that we can go to. If you want to go and check the whole thing yourself, feel free to just go over to this link right over here. Otherwise, we're basically just going to be going over it and reading through probably most of it, if not the more important parts. But that's pretty much all the info right there. Version 4.4 and some of 4.5. We actually did get some peeks at 4.5 in there. So we'll be mentioning those as well as they come around. I believe there's also a few other things I want to mention on top of everything that this is going to mention. Just because I believe it missed a few that was kind of mentioned in between and some other stuff. I forget if it was actually mentioned or not, but we'll find out in a moment. Well, I know it was mentioned last night. I just don't think it was mentioned in this little overview thingy that someone else made. But anyways, hello everyone. Hello sarcastic Jimp. Hello William. Hello Lemmy. Hello Corn. Hello Joseph. Hello Raven. Hello CJ. Hello Captain. Hello Flaming. Hello Stacy, and hello everyone else. Welcome. Open all my gold keys. I'm never gonna open all my gold keys. Actually, we got confirmation on that too. There's likely not a new kingdom coming this year. However, there is a new kingdom coming eventually. They are going to likely do a new kingdom. If they were, they would likely do it around the time when they add a new language into the game, or when they end up adding, you know, something like really big. They have to have a really good reason for adding a new kingdom. But yes, they have confirmed that most likely not this year. However, possibly sometime early, mid-2020, could see one again. But, yeah, they're going to be very rare if they ever do them again. Something else I was mentioning in that regard that I just forgot to go over. That just kind of popped into my head as I mentioned that. And now I already forgot. Never mind. Well, we'll get to it once we get it back around to it. But anyways, let me go bring that thing up on screen so we can go over it all. Hello, Humberto. Hello, Jen. Let's see. You went to bed at 4 a.m.? Oh, wow. Well, that's why I'm going over it now, because I'm pretty sure most people didn't stay up to it. Because even in my time zone, it went to almost like midnight. And for other time zones, it probably would have been like even more in the middle of the night. But anyways, that link right over there, let me go copy paste it again for anyone of you that just got here now. But there's the link for that again. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was mentioned last night. One other thing that was confirmed, Puzzle Quest 3 is indeed happening. Like, it is 100% happening. They have nothing to really mention on it, but hey, we could see a 2021 release or something. I believe they were going to want to do it for next generation consoles, so it's probably going to be very, very late 2020 or early mid 2021, though no official date has been given. But yeah, Puzzle Quest 3 might become a thing in like 2 years from now or so. So yeah, they haven't rolled that out, and they actually even like kind of joked about it and mentioned that it's probably happening. Just no official dates or anything yet. Anyways, everything that happened. So how useful would the new team suggestions actually be is one of the things I was asked them. Of course, the team suggestions are something that's going to be implemented into the game next patch. That's basically going to allow you to automatically generate team. Obviously, as I mentioned, it's mainly just for early mid-game players. Late-game players and end-game players already know how to build teams. So it generally won't really help them that much. This is mainly just a feature that's going to help players that have no clue what to build for a certain thing, like a color Guild War Day, or if they get a new troop, they can plop that in and then get a suggested team suggestion. I'll go over once this patch comes out too, like a bunch of ways of how to use this new system as well. But yeah, it's mainly geared towards early and mid-game players. They even mentioned just throughout the entirety of the stream that the 4.4 update, which is coming as the next patch in hopefully a few weeks or so, is geared mostly towards early game and mid game, whereas the 4.4 patch, which is coming probably sometime, I want to say September, November, we don't have an official date, somewhere in that general time frame, is going to be geared more towards late game players when they do the 4.4 update. And of course, there'll be a little mini patch in between those two. But yeah, that's pretty much what they mentioned with that. How does team share work? So this is basically a new feature that's going to be coming into the game next patch, and you'll be able to go and share teams with people. Basically how this works is underneath your troop menu where you would normally go and click on a rename your team. There's going to be a bunch of different options there. Of course, you'll still have the ability to rename your team, but also have copy your team, paste your team, and other similar things like that. There'll be a few different things you can do. You can copy it, and then you can paste it into global chat, and it'll end up bringing up your team and all your hero class and everything that you're using with it, and then someone else can just copy paste that and put it into the little thingy in game, and then it'll just instantly put it in. It automatically saves it into something internally in game. So you just simply click the little copy button and click the paste button that it has a little button for specifically, and then boom, you get it done. Consoles will also be able to use this feature. It's not specifically going to be under any kind of copy paste function, nor is it on PC mobile. It's going to be under some kind of other system. So just simply you just click the little copy button, it saves it as the most recent one that it'll recognize, and then you click the paste button on whatever team slot you want it on, and then boom, you just got that team into your slot. There's another feature that won't really be usable as much on console, but will be quite usable on PC mobile, is using the actual copy paste function. Like if you click that on keyboard or something, you can go and copy paste strings of random numbers, and these numbers will represent various teams and all the traits and everything of the team itself. And basically what you'll be able to do is externally post things to like YouTube, the forums, Discord, and other similar locations to share a team. And you just simply copy paste that. Someone else can go and copy paste it, put it into their team slots, and then boom, without even needing to do anything in game, within just a matter of seconds, you can get the entirety of whatever that team is. And obviously I'll be using that for pretty much every video I ever do from now on that mentions any teams whatsoever. And it'd be really easy to share teams. So if you see something I'm using, I can simply just go and share it real quick. And like if you see me using something right now for like PvP or Tower of Doom, I can share that to you within seconds, and you just copy paste the little thing, and you're good to go. Whereas now you take like minutes to do that, because you would have to find all the troops, set all the traits, set your hero class, all that good stuff, set the banner, and it would take at minimum a few minutes. Whereas now you'll basically just copy paste it, and boom, you're done. As easy as that. So that's probably my favorite thing that's actually coming personally next patch, because it makes a lot of stuff I do of quite a bit easier too, but also just be helpful in general. Anyways, next thing. Why would I spend gems for more than one sigil battle? Again, this is mostly geared towards mid-game players. They did this for people that are basically get bottlenecked at a certain point because they don't currently have enough options to actually get further. Of course, you always can as an early game and mid-game player simply by using Mang Titan, but a lot of newer players have no clue that that's how you need to win in early game. So they would just use their normal teams to get completely obliterated. So it's basically a new feature that if people still have sigils remaining, but they are unable to really get their battles completed, they'll have some kind of option to be able to use those spare sigils in order to get those battles done with around 50% extra stats, or however far they want to go. Though generally you're never really going to use it beyond 50% extra stats. It's one sigil for 50% extra, 2 sigils for 100% extra, and 4 sigils for 200% extra. So basically every single sigil counts as 50% extra stats that you could potentially have, though of course you're burning through sigils pretty quick, at minimum at double the rate if you end up doing that. So it's mainly only if you specifically need stats to be able to win. Its most useful application for any person, even in maybe late game or end game, is mainly for using it for Tower of Dooms on some of the harder ones. They didn't mention that during the thing, but that is probably its most applicable use to the average player, is using it during Tower of Doom for the harder battles, particularly the harder Doom battles like 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. Actually, never mind, you don't need to do 26, but basically 20 to 25. For that little area right there, that's probably going to be the most applicable purpose of anything that this will have from a late game, end game perspective. Anyways, what did they do with daily tasks and a bunch of other similar things to that? So basically, they ended up adding a new feature into next patch that's going to be replacing out daily tasks and the weekly objectives, as far as like the little snot gems, whatever they're called, those little green gems that we have that we always do stuff for. They're basically completely replacing out that system for a completely new system called the adventure board. They realized with daily tasks that engagement was below 20%, so I know I skipped them most days. I'm pretty sure most other people did too, and apparently so, because literally less than 20% of people in the game actually bother doing daily tasks daily. So yeah, that's pretty low. Weekly events were mindless grinds, because basically whatever they had for it, you would basically just passively already get done if it was something like PvP or Explore or something like that. And they wanted to have something a little bit more objective based than something that you would just kind of get automatically done. Some of these will still be automatically done off the adventure board in a way, because they'll have 2 different ones. I forget if it mentions it later down, but they basically have 2 different things for it. They have the 3 that you would do, which comes out to about 10 battles, which will give a bunch of various resources from like gold, souls, chaos shards, gems, stuff like that. And It is going to give a bunch of various resources, but they'll also have a different one that'll specifically give you straight gems to make up for the fact that we're not getting gems off of things like the weekly objective or off of daily tasks on a regular basis. Because almost every single day you're getting at least one daily task that has gems, and I believe they said it's around 20 gems, if I'm not mistaken, per each of the little task thingies that it ends up giving. Because they'll have one single task and then these 3 little side things that you go and do. Those 3 little side things is basically like a pet battle. It makes up 10 battles. And the little daily thing is just for stacking up a bunch of gems. And that should be able to get done pretty easily. It's kind of like some of the other weekly objectives that we currently have. Let's say, like, for one of them might be kill 100 troops, for example. And if you kill 100 troops, boom, you get it. Like 20 gems or something like that, which is really easy, and you can actually get that done passively. But yeah, that's most of the stuff that they mentioned with that. What is this update for endgame characters or people? Team sharing, and yeah, basically nothing. But they did mention that the next 2 updates, the little mini update in between 4.45 as well as 4.5, are going to be addressing endgame. However, there's almost nothing that's coming in next patch for endgame. There's like team sharing, and there's the slight the ability to use multiple sigils at once. So that will be useful in 2 particular locations for endgame players. That'll be useful in class events, because of class events, normally people have way excess in sigils because they end up buying up to level up hero classes. And the other one is Tower of Doom. While Tower of Doom is still pretty easy for most endgame players and late game players, there are some battles that can be a little bit more annoying, particularly the Doom fights later in the delves. So they'll be able to help slightly with that. But other than that, not much next patches for late game players. So they finally addressed what on earth they're doing with weapons. So they're going to be rolling this out before next patch, actually. It's going to be rolling out probably in the next week, they said. And there's 2 components, the free and paid. The free is basically they're going to be removing all the epic weapons from the shop. So definitely go make sure to go buy all those right now if you want to go get them. But yeah, they're removing all those epic weapons from the shop, and basically they're going to have a rotation for now on that's based on the Kingdoms event. So for example, next week's Kingdom, I believe, was Kazeel. So that will end up bringing, I believe, 2 or 3 of the old Kazeel weapons. I forget what all of those are off the top of my head. But it would end up bringing in event weapons based on whatever the week is. So whatever the kingdom happens to have that are old event weapons, they'll all show up there, and you'll be able to get them just through the Soul Forge. This will cost a combination of diamonds and those little colored things, and are only going to be slightly more expensive than the ones that you currently see there. I don't believe it directly costs gems. It's mainly souls, diamonds, and jewels. All resources that most players probably have laying around, particularly late game and end game players. So yeah, that's going to be a way that you can go and accumulate all those. And they'll also have a paid option. This will be happening in about a month from now. And basically, occasionally within your game, there will be a random weapon that you don't currently own being offered to you for $5. What else is in that pack? I assume it's pretty similar to the other $5 offers that they have right now. But basically, for $5, you'll be able to buy one weapon that you don't already have. One little thing that they did mention with this that seems kind of confusing is if you have an offer for some kind of $5 weapon, it will not show up as one of your craftable weapons within the Soul Forge. So I'm not quite sure what they mean by that. They said it wouldn't happen simultaneously. But if that's the case, then that kind of seems like towards the end, when you only have a few left, it might be a little bit annoying to get those last few, because it's going to keep trying to charge you $5 for them, and whenever it's charging you $5 for them, they can't appear within the Soul Forge. So I'm not sure exactly what's happening with that, but basically you'll be able to buy them in the Soul Forge for relatively cheap, and you'll on a rotation that's based on kingdoms, or you'll be able to buy them a one that you don't own for $5 at a random points. When exactly these will happen, we do not know. We do not know. How frequent it is, we do not know. But I assume they'll pop up like once or twice a week, showing you a weapon you don't have, and it's like, hey, here's the weapon and a bunch of other stuff for $5, and it'll kind of do it like that. And that could be literally any weapons. It could be Earth's Fury, it could be Trickster Shot, it could be Divine Protector, it could be all those good weapons showing up. Let's see. Oh, and that will also include Doom weapons. Doom weapons will also be showing up in the same fashion, though based on the fact that they're Doom weapons, they're probably going to be pretty pricey. Even the normal doomed weapons are already pretty priced, and they'll probably be slightly more. They said about 20% more, I believe. I'm not sure if that was mentioned here. Yeah, about 25% more is how much they'll cost approximately relative to whatever they cost now. Like, for example, I believe it costs 800 diamonds and a bunch of other stuff to currently craft a Doom weapon. When you try and craft it through this method, it's probably going to cost 1,000 diamonds rather than 800, plus whatever else it takes to be able to craft. What's going on with PvP scores? So this was, of course, a bug that used to exist that they ended up fixing a while ago. They are planning on overhauling the system for something else. They're still not 100% certain what they're doing yet. This is probably something that's coming later this year. It was something that was supposed to come later last year, but they ended up kind of delaying it. But it looks like it's going to be something like a September or October fix or something like that. Like the patch before the last patch of the year. Probably won't be in December, but probably the one right before that in September or November. So this is going to be addressed most likely by the end of this year. However, yeah, until then we just kind of have to deal with it. Basically what this is PvP score. It starts to function a lot worse once it starts getting beyond 10,000. And now, of course, all of late game and especially all of end game is way above 10,000. I think it's like 13 or 14,000. And the game has no clue how to calculate out stuff. So it ends up giving less gold, ends up giving less rating, and a lot of other problems that ends up bringing. So they are planning on fixing this. It's just not something that's going to happen yet. Will we be able to break down higher rarity ingots to lower rarity ingots? No. They generally, in general, don't like breaking down bigger resources into smaller resources. What's going on with higher level delves? This is something that they're going to fix in around 4.5. What they're doing, we still have no clue, but it's most likely going to incorporate hero. And if they end up putting hero in something like pure faction, it is going to be so ridiculously auto-win if they end up doing that. But based on what they said, there is a chance that they might allow hero, or at least hero using the faction's weapon. They might allow into pure faction. And if they do that, that is going to be extremely broken because level 500 pure faction will be easy for every single delve if they end up allowing you to use hero for it, which currently obviously you cannot. So we'll see how that pans out. But if that's the fix they do for it, and maybe add like being able to upgrade your treasures into Soulforge or something like that, if they do those two changes, it's pretty much going to be a cakewalk to go do level 500 factions then. Maybe not an actual cakewalk, but it'll still be difficult, but it'll be way easier than it is now, that's for sure. But we'll see exactly what happens. Won't really know more until 4.5, and that's like a few months from now. What happened with the spelling of guard? This is pretty irrelevant. I'm just skipping it. It's just a lore thing. Basically, his spelling is guard now. Deal with it. I noticed this earlier, too, and I typed in G-A-R-D to try to find him. And then didn't realize, oh, yeah, it's double A now, but that's pretty irrelevant. Anyways, I heard about PvP rework rumor. What's the deal with that? Again, this is coming later. Not quite yet. But they will be addressing it later this year, most likely. But they did say that it might not happen this year. It could be either early, midway next year, or by the end of this year. They still don't have like a set update for it. What's coming in 4.5? PvP rework, delve fixes, Explorer rework, in mid-2020 replacement event for new classes. They did mention that they do want to go and replace out the current class system, that it's kind of clunky, and once you have it to level 100, you don't really need EXP anymore and all that kind of stuff. So they are looking to rework classes a little bit. Classes are relatively new. It's not even a year old. I believe the classes as they are right now, like with all the extra perks in the XP system, that's only about a 9-month-old system. They did end up doing that last August, so like 10 months then. But they are planning on reworking that sometime, probably early, midway through next year. And they are planning on buffing those rewards eventually. I'm not sure if that's specifically in 4.5, the actual buff to it, but they are planning on doing that in the near future. Oh, and I didn't know if this was mentioned or not in here, but that was the one thing. One of the other thing. Wild Plains rework. You might want to go and get your Sunspear. Is it Sunspear? No, it's not Sunspear. It's that one hero class I keep doing. Shaman hero class. You might want to go get your Shaman hero class maxed. I currently have it at level 97, so mine's pretty much already there. I've been passively kind of getting it up. But Wild Plains is getting reworked. They're reworking all those gnolls there, which aren't actually a typing, but, you know, like those little gnoll-like troops. There's like 3 or 4 of them. And they're also probably reworking all of the Tauruses there. And the Tauruses being reworked there is quite relevant because there is a hero class, like I just mentioned, Shaman, which has a half mana start to all Tauruses. So if they end up buffing Wild Plains, similar to how they buffed Pan's Veil with Wild Folk, it can end up making the hero class quite a bit better. It ended up doing that when they ended up doing it for Bard. Bard didn't become like meta or anything, but it definitely became better than it was previously. And the same thing's basically going to happen with Shaman. Shaman's pretty underwhelming as it currently stands, and same as the entirety of that kingdom, except for maybe like Ketris. And yeah, they're going to be doing some kind of rework to that should hopefully be making it viable. That's probably not till later this year though, so though it might be coming in before 4.5. Let's see. Also, treasure map and arena rework is still happening. That is something that they're aware of. When it's happening, we still do not know. But this is still on their radar. They are planning on buffing treasure map in some way. They are buffing treasure arena as well in some way in the near future. Maybe not necessarily 4.5 though. Anyways, as far as other stuff that was asked to them, new doomed weapons being made as old weapons will be moved to Soulforge. So they will keep bringing in more Doom weapons. They are not going to keep rotating. However, the old ones are going to be added to Soulforge, so you'll be able to get them over time. Do keep in mind with the whole way that they're doing Soulforge, it's going to be like a 6-7 month rotation for all the weapons. However, throughout a year, you'll definitely be able to rotate through every single weapon in the game. So if you're still missing some, it shouldn't take longer than about 7 months to regain them all from having from not having a full list to having a full list. He's looking to buff the Doom weapons. Doom weapons obviously are pretty underwhelming. The normal Doom Skull, the conversion ones, are pretty decent. However, obviously the HP gain ones are ridiculously underwhelming, and he is looking into buffing those as well as probably buffing future Doom weapons to actually feel like they're good. Because right now they basically don't even feel like mythic weapons, let alone Doom weapons. So they are looking into just making them a bit better. They are planning on doing redoing quests to some degree. It's something that they keep mentioning. It's not directly planned, as in they don't have any direct patch that's going to be going over it, but they are still looking into something to go and redo quest lines and allow additional rewards and stuff from that. It's been something they've been mentioning for a while. It's just not necessarily coming anytime soon. New things for resources for endgame players. He is inclined to do it. I actually ended up asking this question. This was one of the two I asked. I forget what the other one was, but oh, I know which one it was. It was the one a little bit further down, but yeah, they are looking into adding more syncs into the game. If they do add more syncs, they want it to actually feel fulfilling to actually sync it, of course. But yeah, they will be syncing a bunch of other resources in the game, like souls, ingots, and other various stuff that basically have an infinite supply and you have nothing to put them into. So yeah, keep hoarding your resources. One thing that was not mentioned, which I don't know if it was mentioned further below, they are not planning currently a sync for pet food, and they are not planning a sync for orbs. So do keep that in mind. But pretty much everything else, they said, yeah, they're probably going to look into some kind of sync. Treasure maps will, souls will, ingots will, other stuff like that. Trade stones will, that's something they even mentioned. That might even be in 4.5 or 4.6, like sometime this year before the end of the year, possibly. Treasure map revamp, 4.6 holiday patch, likely in 2020. Oh, never mind, that's just mentioning when it is. But yeah, there is a treasure map rework still planned, same as arena rework. No official date on that yet, but it's likely either the end of this year or the early next year, one of the two. Apocalypse, they are looking into possibly making that its own kingdom. They want to make like all the Vault troops, all the Guardian troops, all the Primal troops, all those kind of things kind of associated with a kingdom. Like Apocalypse, they're probably going to put on Sin and Mirage eventually, and a bunch of other stuff they are planning to actually like attach to a kingdom in some way, shape, or form. How they're going to go about this for all the other ones, I do not know, but Apocalypse, they might eventually just attach literally to Sin and Mirage, which would make sense because Sin and Mirage currently has the least number of troops of any kingdom in the entire game. So if they gave them all 5, there's 5, right? 5 or 6? 5. Because there's the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse and Xenos. I believe those are the only 5. Wait, does Zugoff count as one? No, Zugoff's Kerkroth. Yeah, so there's 5 of them. So Sin and Mirage would jump up 5 troops. From being the least amount of in any kingdom all the way up to additional 5. So that's probably going to be really likely. That will probably happen in 4.5 most likely. Like very soon they'll probably do that. Not next patch though. But yeah, the kingdom's already the least amount, so it makes sense that they would do it for it. Plus from a lore perspective, it makes sense as well. New kingdoms, as I mentioned, I already kind of mentioned this earlier, unlikely to happen this year. However, they might do it again, kind of like how they did it with Shenteng when they did Chinese localization. If they ever do another language, they might do a kingdom based on the culture of that language and or the mythology and everything, and just kind of have a whole new, brand new kingdom based on that if they're ever going to do one. They're not rolling it out, but they're going to need a pretty big reason to end up doing a new kingdom. Who knows? Maybe when the next consoles come out, they'll have one based on that. Who knows? But it'll have to be something pretty big for them to add a new kingdom, though they haven't ruled it out, though it's probably not happening this year. Puzzle Quest 3, still a long ways away, but they haven't denied it. It's coming. It's probably like a 2020, a late 2020, 2021, 2022 kind of thing. But hey, it's possible. It's still possible. Better rewards for class events is still coming. They're working on it. They're doing something for it. They did go over power creep and everything and how they kind of deliberately made things more powerful, and now they're kind of trying to not necessarily tone things back, but they're not trying to constantly keep making things even more powerful than the current state of the game, even though that kind of is already creeping that way simply because we keep getting higher stats from tributes and stuff like that, which I believe they mentioned somewheres in here. But they actually mentioned that the current tribute system they are perfectly fine with, at least for now. Hopefully that doesn't mean they'll rework it, because the tribute system actually is really solid right now. Hopefully they don't ever rework it, because it seems like it's going to kind of be that way. Obviously, they'll rework it to at least once more, probably when they expand it, because they are going to be expanding it once we start reaching 20 stars. Based on the color stars, it looks like they're going to 30-star kingdoms, and currently the game only shows up to 20 stars. Trait removal on weapons and troops. This, unfortunately, they said no to, though I don't think they fully understood the question, because they mentioned it in regard to weapons, but they did not really go over in regard to troops. So, obviously, they'll never really allow you to remove an affix or anything like that. They are looking into fixing those issues, like creating one yellow or destroying a red or a yellow or something like that. They are looking into fixing those issues. However, you will not specifically be able to remove them. But they didn't really understand the base of the question, which was being able to do that on troops as well, because there are troops that you would gain a benefit from if they didn't have a specific trait. The first one that normally comes to mind is the stealthy on assassin, or whatever that is, bandit. The stealthy on bandit is actually a negative trait, even though you need to get it just to get the kingdom upgraded. And the reason for this is generally when you're running a hero class, you're running it with that little 35% chance to summon a bandit thing, and you run it with stealthy on the hero class. So you have stealthy for your hero, but you're summoning bandits that also have stealthy, which basically negates out the fact that you even have stealthy, because if your entire team is stealthy, then yeah, they can just target whatever. So it not having stealthy in those instances would actually be beneficial. And there's quite a few other instances of that. Lest you sometimes don't want to be entangled because you're trying to negate out their attack boost ratio. Something like that most recent mythic, that one useless one from Groshnock, you don't want him to have immune to poison because that would allow him to use his last trait better, but you have to get the immune to poison just to be able to get his last trait. And there's a lot of instances like that where having traits midway through the troop is actually negative to the troop, or certain situations in the context of a team where they're negative to the team. So maybe it'll be asked again in a way that they'll actually understand the question, but how it was asked, they mainly only thought it was in regard to weapons and not to troops. Yeah, hopefully they will eventually, but as it currently stands, it's not happening. Gain mana on skull matches. This is probably something they're also not doing. However, there might eventually be a trait where you gain mana from matching skulls, like 2 mana, 3 mana, something like that. However, they are very unlikely to make a hero, like a troop, that actually requires the mana of skulls, because skulls are not a mana. Let's see. Oh yeah, they might be adding some pet food to adventure boards to make up for the fact that the faction pets are sinking a lot of food, as you've probably seen with my food amount. This I personally don't actually care for because it's going to block better rewards, but at least we won't run out of food anymore. Reward scaling for higher level delves. This is something that they are looking into. They still haven't really figured out what on earth they're doing with it yet, though. This has been an issue since day one of delves coming out. They actually were aware that this was probably going to be an issue. They deliberately made the rewards at the beginning kind of better and then the ones later on worse for when they first launched it. However, they still haven't bothered in fixing that back yet. So it is something they are aware of. They just haven't fixed it yet, which is unfortunate. But yeah, it's been an issue since day one of delves coming out. And I mentioned it during the beta too, and they still did nothing. But they are aware, and it is something that is going to happen eventually, just not yet. Scaling delves down. No, they won't be scaling delves down. Delves are basically going to remain the same difficulty they currently are, and you won't be able to specifically go down to level 20 delves or anything like that. They do want to fix the reward system, however, though, to make it so you wouldn't really need to do that. They're also going to be making level 500 faction a lot easier because you'll be able to maybe use hero and possibly some kind of other fix. You will never be able to convert your orbs into other orbs, nor will there be any other sync for them other than power orbs. So, yeah, they already confirmed that. Ability to block certain rewards that are unneeded to appear on adventure boards? No. So, unfortunately, you won't be able to block gold, you won't be able to block souls, you won't be able to block pet food, stuff like that. Things you know you won't need, you're just going to have to take, unfortunately. Which is unfortunate, because you're going to get a lot of rewards you don't need. VIP perks, they're looking at expanding, because the VIP perks that are currently in the game are pretty dated. The most useful thing that normally gives is free scouting. The VIP keys, and even VIP keys, are pretty relevant these days, and more team slots. But they are looking into adding some other stuff, like maybe a power orb and some other stuff that'll come up. Like if you reach like maybe VIP 10, you get a power orb, or you know, other similar things to that. So they're looking on expanding VIP rewards. Nothing that will possibly be exclusive to it, but just kind of like extra little things that will help out those players that do donate a lot to the game. Let's see. Oh yeah, he was just mentioning the arcane drop rate. This is something we already knew the info on. The arcane drop rate in the Explorer is about 5.5%, whereas everywhere else they're about 1.3%, or 1.5%, I mean. But yeah, this is something we already knew, that it was about 3 times higher. Actually, that's a little bit more than 3 times higher, isn't it? But yeah, this was a data point that we already knew. It's also why I say it takes about 18 battles in order to get an arcane, because that's about how many battles it takes. Actually, based on that number, what does that come out to? That's actually closer to 19, right? I always just say 18, but somewhere around 18. It's like 18 or 19 battles until you get an arcane, which is what I always said for Explore. Specifically 18. Double trait stone events coming back? Possibly. For any of you that don't know, they used to have double resource weekends. This was way back in this game's history. Like the first year, maybe first year and a half. They used to have weekends where they would have double resources. Like, for example, you would gain double the gold from PvP, or all battles, actually. Or double the trait stones, or double the whatever. And they said they might be bringing that back. Probably wouldn't do it for double gold, obviously, because that'd be pretty game economy breaking in the current state of the game. But like double trait stones and other double similar things like that, they might end up doing. It's a possibility. Getting gnomes and vaults easier. This is probably going to be likely in the future. Specifically, what they mean by this is you might be able to use a higher difficulty on a vault key in order to actually get better rewards, and some of those better rewards would be guaranteed copies of gnome troops, because obviously they are aware that getting all the gnome troops is extremely tedious and ridiculously hard to currently do in the current state of the game, especially with how many vault keys are out there. You just don't ever get enough of the commons. So they are going to be doing something that will be addressing this into the future. When that will be coming, who knows, maybe 4.5, 4.6, but it is something on their radar though. Adventure board, trait stone, souls, keys, gems, orbs. Wait, there's going to be orbs? I didn't recall them mentioning that. But yeah, this is something that's going to be in 4.5. I don't recall them mentioning orbs. But yeah, we'll have things like trait stones, glory, souls, keys, gems, and other various stuff like that. Possibly even pet food they mentioned, and other similar things. Single-click casting for troops. This is something that they possibly mentioned in the future. It would be opt-in if they ever did implement it, so something like maybe double-clicking on a troop so you can auto-cast and stuff like that. Personally, I use controller for this so that you can kind of just bypass it. If you own a controller plus mouse, you can actually bypass it already. However, there isn't really a way for other players to do it if you're not bothering to use that method. So, yeah, they're going to be implementing something like that into the future. And this was the other thing I actually mentioned. Casting spells mid-cast. This is something that they said is possible, though it's probably not happening anytime soon. It has to do with a bunch of how they have the coding and how they had the coding in the past, and this is going to be really annoying for them to implement and probably take a lot of time. It is something they definitely want to do if they have the resources to go and do so sometime into the future. It's probably not happening for a while, though, but it is something that they do want to do, because this obviously has been an issue since day one of the game. Actually, both of these last two have actually kind of been an issue since day one of the game, particularly the canceling one, though. And yeah, it's on the radar. It is something they are planning on doing. Just no actual announcement yet onto when that will be. Speaking of that, no official date on the patch yet either, as far as when it will be. But anyways, guys, here's the link to this page if you guys want to go and read more on it yourself. There it is. Anyways, I took like half the stream for that now. Let's go do other stuff now. Anyways, now that that's done, I'll go read chat and go do all that. Oops, that's the wrong one. Anyways, but I wanted to go over that for any of you that wanted all that info. Because I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have wanted to watch through like an hour-and-a-half stream of them doing it. But then again, some of you probably did. But there you guys go. Summarized in like half the time. Okay, let me go back through chat real quick. Hello, Sirius. Welcome. Hello, Raven. Hello, Drunken Koopa. Are they adding new achievements? Yes, we're going to get 3 new achievements next patch. What on earth they are, I have no clue. But there should be 3 new achievements. Probably related to the adventure board. One probably related to sharing teams, and I have no clue what the third one will be related to. But yes, we should be getting 3 new achievements next patch for any of you that like achievements. Let's see. Where did my talking dragon go? I have no clue what you mean by that. Let's see. Let's see. You have all the weapons, but for some reason, the event weapons in the Soul Forge is the best new feature. Yeah, it is probably going to be one of the better new features coming in, because everyone will be able to obtain all the old weapons. It'll take a long time for it to cycle. It'll take like 7 months or so. But yes, it will cycle through all of the old weapons based on what kingdom it currently is. So for example, I mentioned next week, I believe, was KZL. So for example, next week, the weapons that we would end up having underneath the weapon category thingy that you'd be able to craft, assuming they do it next week. There's a possibility they might not. They are doing it really soon, though. Maybe not specifically next week, but the following week. But for example, you'd be able to get Deep Stone. You'd be able to get, which is useless. I believe Anvil of Might is one. I actually forget if it is. But if Anvil of Might is one, it would be. Runic Blade used to be, but now it's a normal weapon. I believe Stone Aegis is one of those old event weapons. War and Peace. No, you can get War and Peace normally. So, yeah, I believe it's just these two then. It's either these two or these three. I know for sure Deep Stone and Stone Aegis are old event weapons. Deep Stone is a weird explosion where it explodes whatever you target end a row. It's not really useful, but it's a cool little board control thing. It's the only weapon in the game, or it's the only anything in the game that destroys in that fashion, which is kind of cool. Kind of like how Peasant is completely useless, but it has a unique destroy. It's kind of like what Deep Stone is. Stone Age is similarly useless, but it's another one of those weapons that you'd probably be able to get if they do end up implementing it next week. But yeah, we'll slowly be able to get that for every single kingdom. Obviously, some kingdoms would be more beneficial than others. For example, I believe Broken Spire has Earth's Fury, right? I forget where that was. But some kingdoms will obviously be more useful than others. Like Broken Spire, you'd be able to get the brown Doom weapon, I mean. You'd be able to get Axe of Spire, which I believe is one of the old weapons. You'd be able to get Flamer Fur. That's an amazing weapon to have. You'd be able to get Goblin Crusher. Used to be decent, not good anymore. But yeah, you'd be able to get those 4. Also, you'd probably be able to get Shegar's Heart, because I believe they're adding those weapons to the thing too. And that's another thing that I mentioned earlier, but I should probably mention it again. Not that. That offer's not really that good. But let me see. What was I looking for? I was looking for Soulforge right now. Don't forget, this is something you should do like almost right now. Like literally right now. Like within the next week or so. You should probably go and craft every single thing you see here. Possibly even including Dawnbringer if you can. Though save Dawnbringer for last. But particularly these purple weapons. Because these things I do not believe are going to be here anymore. Starting next patch. It's going to be based on whatever the current event week is. So all these purple weapons I know for sure will no longer be here. I'm not quite sure if the 3 Xenos weapons and the 3 Dawnbringer weapons and Dawnbringer are moving. But they might be moving too on a rotation. I'm not 100% certain on that. I'm pretty sure they are staying. But definitely make sure to craft all the purple weapons before the end of this week. Or at least probably before the end of this week if you can. If you happen to have the resources. Because you might not be able to easily after this. Or if you do, it might cost a little bit more than they currently cost. So they're pretty cheap. 20% more than that's going to be almost no difference. But still, yeah, you might want to consider crafting literally every single thing here that you can. Particularly all the purple ones. All the epic rarity ones. Because you might not be able to in another week or two. Anyways, next thing. What was I mentioning? Are any of the ancient weapons actually worth getting? Which ancient weapons? You mean all the old weapons? Yes, there's a lot of the older weapons that are worth actually owning for the sake of owning them. Earth's Fury, Trickster Shot, Yasmin's Pride, most of the Meng-like weapons in general. Divine Protector, Stone Slicer. There's a lot of them. It would be hard to make a full list, though I might need to make up a full list for a video once they do end up bringing that feature. Just kind of like, hey, look for these 10. If they ever come back, definitely get them. But yeah, I'll need to make up a list of 10 later and make a thing for it around the time when the patch comes out. But or maybe even a little bit before. I might just pre-record it because I don't necessarily need the patch already out to go over it. But yeah, there's definitely quite a few of them. Trickster Shot and Earth's Fury are probably the first 2 that come to mind, though. There's plenty of them. Let's see. You were disappointed with some of their choices? In what regard? The only thing I'm slightly still hesitant on is what on earth the new adventure board system will be like compared to daily task and event objectives. Because there is a possibility it could overall be a nerf. Hello, Goober. Hello, Haley. Let's see. If you thought they said they would rather those just be better traits rather than the option... Well, the thing is, they're not going to necessarily make better traits because there's some traits that are just inherently going to be a negative trait in some situations. Like, stealthy is a really good trait. However, stealthy on a troop that you don't want to have stealthy is a really bad trait. And there's no way to disable it. Like, there's no way to say, I do want this or I don't want this on a given troop. There's no way to undo it once you already have it. So, I'm not sure what on earth they're going to do with that, if anything, into the future. But there are instances where a really, really good trait can be a negative perk on the troop. In a certain context. It's very rare that that happens, but there are situations in certain team combinations where something positive can be negative. Hello, Mabarashi. The issue with removing traits is that they are needed for kingdom upgrades. Removing a trait will lead to other issues of downgrading. Yeah, that's another thing too, because I don't think they could downgrade kingdoms in that regard. They had a system for it in the past. However, I don't think the current system that is set up right now can actually downgrade kingdoms properly. The old system used to. I don't believe the current system can. So if you were to like literally somehow downgrade all your troops somehow, which would only really happen if they ever offered refunds, then the star level should stay exactly where it is. Like if you already had it at 12 stars and you downgraded it down to 10 stars, it would still be 12 stars if I'm not mistaken. But we were mainly referring to a feature where we could specifically say, kind of like how traits are, where we could say if we want it or don't want it. Because perks on hero classes are kind of like that, where you have 3 different choices and you can say, hey, I want this or don't want this. There's no way to completely disable it on hero classes, but it gives you enough selection that you kind of can. But that's kind of what we were referring to with that. Let's see. Hello, Chongi. Welcome. Hello, Afrari. And hello, Jamie. And anyways, let me go and actually play now. We talked for like 40 minutes. Let's go play. Anyways, Tower of Doom. I pulled a salty. Talking for like 90% of the stream. Where were we? Where's our thing? We're at 19. Wow, they got far already. How are you already at 34? I don't think he scouted all those. But then again, once you get that far, you kind of don't need to scout. Well, actually, I guess you still need to, because what if you find a lucky like that? But yeah, wow, he went far. Anyways, what am I looking for? I am looking for 19, which is battle number 5. Let's go get deeper. I don't think we're going to be able to finish out today, but what we can finish out is the major orb. Let me go grab this real quick. Please be a purple or blue. You know what? We still have not gotten a single major blue since 2 months ago when we crafted Zugoff. And it still doesn't want to prove me wrong, but it gave me the best other drop, which is a major purple, which is basically 75 gem keys, which is basically 675 gems. So yeah, that's really nice. That's pretty much exactly what we want, so good. So we'll go get this. Obviously, we're still using the same thing we have been all week. Going to be sticking with this for the rest of the time. Mountain Crusher, Apothecary, Hiking Iron Gut, Mirage Queen. And Mirage Queen is actually better than Possessed King in this particular situation, because you need Skull Spam for the Doom. It also allows you to get rid of all it gets rid of all Devour immunities with one single cast pretty consistently, unlike a Transform that isn't that as consistent, since its target is random and its percent chance is random. We'll go for that, get our Devour. Do we have alignment on this? Doesn't look like it, so we'll just wait. Get our mana that we need. None of them actually need to be cursed, so we don't need to actually throw that down. I do want to go Devour his next slot so we can try stunning him with a skull. Do have to be careful that our hero doesn't die though, because it is within 1 hit range. So let me go for Devour onto that so we can go take a skull on us. I deliberately want him to skull us here. So we'll go Devour that, and now I just need him to take a skull. I need him to take a skull to such a degree that I'm actually going to go and, well, first things first, let me move that. I'm going to take a move that doesn't actually really do much. We'll just take that. I want him to take that skull. Take it already! Let's see. I don't want to give him an extra turn skull, though. So I'll just do that. Take the skull. There you go. Now he's stunned. And now that he's stunned, we can simply just go convert it away. And now he won't be able to get a revive. So he won't, yeah, he'll just die. There we go. The power of Titan. It does literally everything. Pretty much. Okay, I think that was the only room. Let me just double check just in case. Yeah, that was the only room here. So let's move on to the next one. Let's see. Yeah, we don't want to remove the trait. We just want to specifically disable it for certain battles. Or to have it so we can disable it just for a certain amount of time. Like, for example, I would permanently want to still have the trait of Bandit Stealthy, but I would keep it disabled like 99% of the time. Because it's actually better for him to not have his Stealthy trait than it is for him to have his Stealthy trait in most of the situations that you would realistically use him in endgame. And there's quite a few other troops where you would specifically want to do that. For example, the most recent mythic that was added to the game, you would want to disable his second trait that has immune to poison and keep his first and third trait. But that kind of feature is probably not coming anytime soon, if ever. But maybe it'll be mentioned to them again in a way that will make more sense. Because they thought it was perks when they heard it, not traits. So they might have just misheard it when the question was asked. Why not just change the trait of Bandit to something else? Because there's many traits on these troops that are actually beneficial for the troop and make sense for the troop. but there are certain situations where you wouldn't want to necessarily have them. So you don't really have to just change it, because they couldn't change literally every instance of it. Like, some of those it would make sense to change, like why on earth the most recent mythic has immune to poison doesn't make any sense. But still, there are instances where you can't really change it. Like, for example, Leshy having immune to Entangle makes sense for some teams. However, there are teams that you use it against, for example, against an Ubistet and other things that have an attack boost ratio, where you actually don't want him to have immune to Entangle, because all you're doing with that immune to Entangle is giving the enemy more damage. And it's stuff like that. Like, Leshy's immune to Tangle is normally really good, but there are specific instances, mainly against Ubistet and a few other really weird instances, but mostly Ubistet, that its perk or its trait that it has is actually negative to what you're trying to achieve. Because by entangling all allies against Ubistet, what you're trying to achieve is reducing Ubistet's damage as low as possible. But he has immune to Entangle, which guarantees that you don't reduce it as much, because the Leshy itself will not entangle itself due to the immunity that it has. But there's instances like that on various troops where they have a really good trait that makes a lot of sense for the troop, but there are very, very specific instances where that trait is not good. Well, we'll go for the mountain. And then we just mountain away to purples. And then we can devour the thingy. Well, I'll go show it with Leshy real quick, and that might make it a little bit more sense. Let's see. We'll go and there's not too many troops that are like that. There's probably only a few dozen, for the most part. Bandit and Leshy are the first two that come to mind, but there are others. You could argue that you need a different troop in the team. Yeah, that too. But basically what I'm trying to say is, let's just... Do we have a random scrap team over here? Let's see, what don't we need here? I probably don't need any of these. Let's just put it over here. So, Leshy and Ubistet. Yeah, it's a really, really small problem. However, it is a problem. There are, I'd say it's about 5% of troops that have this issue. A little bit more than 1%. But it's definitely pretty small. But for example, in an instance like this, the enemy has Ubistet and you have Leshy. What Leshy does is entangle all allies and destroy all green gems. So you're entangling all allies, or all allies and enemies, sorry. So it basically entangles everything. What Ubistet does is he does a bunch of damage, but he boosts ratios off of all the attack that are within the battle. So including all the enemy and all the ally attack. So it's boosting based on all the attack, and this thing is entangling everything. So generally what you're going to want to do if you're trying to use a Leshy like this or some kind of mechanic like this is you deliberately want yourself to be entangled, because that would overall reduce his amount of damage, since nothing would have attack and he would get absolutely no boost ratio whatsoever from his ability. But the problem is Leshy has immune to Entangle on its second trait, and there is no way to disable this trait. So you are automatically not getting entangled in your Leshy, which more often than not is a good thing, because obviously generally you do not want to entangle your allies. However, when you're up against Charm and when you're up against Ubistet, so those two instances, anything with Charm and specifically Ubistet, you actually want to entangle literally your entire team. But the problem is he has immune to Entangle, which completely defeats the point in ever using Leshy, because you'd want to entangle your whole team, but he will automatically never be entangleable because of his second trait. So it's instances like that. There's obviously instances where it's fine that Leshy is not entangled. These are particularly instances where you're not deliberately trying to entangle your team to counter Ubistet or Charm. But generally, if you're bothering to put a Leshy into your team, you're trying to counter one of those two things. And the fact that he has immune to Entangle just doesn't work in that context, and you'd want to have it disabled. There's also instances where storms, for example, there are various storms on troops. So for example, let's say we had a Ubistet and we had, I don't know, let's say, what's something else that does a storm on Def? I'm trying to think of one. How about Skyla? Let's say we have Skyla. So for example, let's say we wanted Skyla in front of our Ubistet. However, we want to have a Skull Storm instead of a Red Storm. Unfortunately, if we were to do something like this, we will have a Red Storm 100% of the time. And the reason for that is this will create a Bone Storm. Oh, sorry, that's not on Def. Just pretend that's on Def. Actually, no. You know what? We'll go get the actual one. What's her name? What's her name? Wild Queen. That's the one I'm looking for. Wild Queen. So, for example, let's say we want to use Wild Queen in front of Ubistet. However, we want to have a Skull Storm instead of a Red Storm when we kill an enemy. Currently, that is impossible, because this summons a Bone Storm when an ally dies, and this summons a Red Storm when an ally dies. And the way that it takes priority is it does it whichever one is the lowest in your team. So you'd have to set the Wild Queen below your Ubistet to currently do it. However, if they had a way to disable traits, you could disable Ubistet's second trait for battles that you end up using it like this, and then simply just have it so Wild Queen will have the Bone Storm. Otherwise, in the current state of the game, it is impossible to do something like Wild Queen in front of Ubistet to be able to get that. There's a lot of instances in the game. It only affects like 5% or so of instances, maybe up to 10. But there are several instances where disabling a trait would greatly improve a lot of troops, if you could, for specific battles. Not like completely getting rid of the trait, just disabling it for X amount of time. Or, you know, just like kind of having it so you can turn it on and off rather than always on, how it is right now. I hope that explains it. But that's basically the bottom line with that. Anyways, where were we? Room floor 20. We have 3 and we have 2. We already did the 3, and now we got the 2. And we finally got the first scroll. It took us 20 rooms, or 20 floors before we even got a single scroll, but we finally got one. I won't be needing that till a little bit later in the area, though. Anyways, on to the next battle. Okay, we'll take the... oops, that guy exploded. Let's go get a mountain down. We'll go and get another mountain. Upstream came back. It went down for like half a second. Keeps doing that occasionally. Not as bad as Tuesdays, though. Okay, we'll go get a Devourer onto... we'll do it on Dark Priestess because she has Barrier. And, of course, it doesn't get the kill. You actually have to be careful. Ubistet does not... Or not Ubistet, sorry. Iron Gut does not devour something that has immune... Or that has Barrier currently on it. It will waste its Devour on its Barrier, and then we'll do the damage to it, unfortunately. So you do have to make sure you don't cast on Barrier. So I do want to kill this just to get rid of his only Barrier option. And that will kill out naturally. Hopefully they're already dead. And now we store 2 more Devourers. Should be good to go. Yeah, it is a really specific situation. And it probably would be pretty hard for them to code. I don't know. It just seems like something fun to have in there. It would make a lot of troops a lot more useful than they are. It would make weird traits just not negate things out. Because it's kind of weird. Because the entire game encourages you to trait everything. But there are still instances where trading stuff is actually negative to the troops' well-being. Which is unfortunate. And it's impossible for them to just simply fix those. Because it's still going to be the case. Even with weapons, like their whole goal for it is just to fix it. But the problem with just fixing it is there are still instances, like for example, while very rare, there are instances you would not want a brown storm on Mountain Crusher or a blue storm on something like Jar of Eyes or stuff like that. There are specific instances like that. And I understand them not doing it for perks, but I don't know, given that they already did it for heroes on traits, I guess I feel like they could kind of do it for troops, but I guess that would be a lot of work since there'd be so many troops that you would have to do it for and then constantly still have to keep doing it for. I don't know. It affects very little, but it still affects enough that it seems like it might be something they could maybe get around to. What do we take here? None of it looks worth it. Actually, you know what? Yes, it does. Let me get an apothecary in there. Get all the mana we need. Oh, I can't devour him. Never mind. I hate this battle so much. For many reasons. But the other one is, yeah, we can't actually do anything here. Yeah. Because we have to kill this normally, and we have to kill that normally. This team is actually really bad against the this one green battle. Looks like we'll still be able to win. Oh, you know what? What am I doing? I could just let him take a skull on me, and then I could devour him. I completely forgot about that. Well, it's too late now. He's going to die off of skulls. Let's see. Okay, we'll go for this. We can still devour him. It's not too late. All he has to do is take a skull. There we go. Now we can devour him. Why didn't I just do that in the first place? There we go. Alright, he would have to kill normally, though, because we can't curse him. Oh, I should have taken that skull, though. Could have gotten some free damage in him. But oh well. Throw that just for a poke. It's really small damage, but it's better than 0. Get all those greens converted. Actually, you know what? I shouldn't have done that. I need that for the Mirage Queen. I need to keep greens on the board. Now we're going to do some skull damage to it. It's more than what we're doing now. Did we go for it? I guess. No, you know what? Let's actually go for a mountain there. Then we can just poke it a few times and kind of just go from there. We got a free turn there as long as he doesn't ruin it, so that should be a match. Let's do that, throw that in there, and he's dead. Is there a random fixed number of Fireball Lucky Heroism and stuff? Yes and no. Yes, they do have something that kind of makes it a fixed amount. However, the spread at which they are fixed is very, very large, and I have no clue how deep it goes. I believe it's a fixed amount up to like floor 50. And obviously that doesn't really help too much because most people only go up to about floor 25 or so. But yes, I believe it is a fixed amount for every single guild, even though it's kind of randomized. However, the fixed amount goes so deep that it's kind of not a fixed amount. But yeah, I believe it's a fixed amount up to 50, if I'm not mistaken. But most people only go to up to like 25 or 26. So it's kind of pretty random then. Let's see. What am I doing? 21. Sorry, I'm skipping the heroism. I mean, not the heroism. I'm skipping the haste. Heroisms we definitely want. But let's go grab floor number 4. Because we're skipping the 5. Where'd it go? Floor number 4. And then we'll do this one into the final room. Okay, let's go and just convert something over, I guess. Doing on like green. Yeah, actually, you know what? Let's do it on purple. I want to keep those greens in case we can get a full apothecary up with it. So we'll do that. Get a devour on that. It's the most annoying one. Doesn't look like we got it, so we'll just go for a mountain then. That'll feed all the mana we need and kind of just go from there. Grab our browns over. Get a devour onto that right there. However, you still not gotten a devour. Let's go through some damage. Because at this point, we might as well just kill him with that. At least his first slot. Grab a mountain down. Actually, you know what? Let me just grab this on some purples. Get a mountain on everything. And then we can devour his thing right over there, his third slot. Still no hit going. So we'll go get a apothecary right there. We can then go and devour that. Please, get a devour ready. Thank you. So I don't have a drop for there. We'll just go get a mountain on everything just to clear it out. And then we can get a nice apothecary, hopefully. Should be able to. Let's take a yellow for now. Yeah, we'll take the yellow. Grab that over, get our poke, get devour onto his last slot there. And what else do we need? Let's go grab a... do we have anything that's worth it? I guess we just go for a mountain there. We got a mountain down. We can then go apothecary like yellow or something. And it should be the devour we need to go and kill. Actually, yeah, we'll take that first. Put that in there and then he should be dead. There we go. Oh, so that reminds me, I still haven't handed out a code yet, did I? We could do that right now, actually. Let me go do that right now. Code time! Where'd it go? Let me zoom out so I can actually see everything. Zoom, zoom, zoom. It also reminds me, I'm running low on codes. Probably enough for the rest of this month. Copy. Get out in there, get out in there. Refresh. Paste that right over there. Copy the whole thing. And there you guys go. There is the redeem code. Use it on gemsofwar.com for the game code section. Your invite code is found underneath the... Oops, let me take my tribute real quick before I do. Okay, your invite code is found underneath your settings menu. Whatever game says there is what you put in. Redeem code is found right over in the chat right over there. Just click copy paste on the random numbers and letters. And it gives the same reward as always. 2 treasure maps, 1 gem key, 200 souls, and 2,500 gold. And I don't believe we have any task related to that. And soon we will never have any task related to that ever again. So we can actually go and save all of our keys for whenever it tells us, or, you know, whenever there's like a new mythic or something. And also, hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit more, into gems. Because right now, we are a little bit short for this Friday. We still need like another 1,000 or so. Because I'm probably burning through like 2,000 or 3,000 on this Friday when we end up doing it. So we do need a little bit more than that, which also reminds me, I still haven't done the pet. It's a pretty irrelevant pet, but I want it for its pet food. So let's go farm it for its pet food real quick. I'm using Tidecaller with this. This is a hero class I do want maxed before next patch, or not next patch. Well, it probably will be around next patch as well. But I want this hero class maxed before next Guild War week. And the reason for that is I want to make sure we have Tidecaller available for Blue Guild War Day. And for that, I want to make sure he's maxed before we do that. Yeah, it doesn't work on console. It works on PC Mobile. Are the only versions it works on. If you're playing on any of the console versions, it unfortunately does not work. And it has to do with policy on all the console versions that prevents them from doing so. Also why they're not cross-platform. Okay. Let's take that for now. Oh, I give him a perplex turn. I guess it doesn't really matter much. He barely has any stats. Not going to make too huge a difference. So I believe Nintendo Switch got a new pet today. It's a pretty irrelevant one, though. It's the Monster Ponus pet. And even in the base version of the game, the Monster Bonus is barely even usable. And it's definitely not that usable on Nintendo Switch. Right now, the Nintendo Switch whole meta is Dragon's Eye or run Yagwe Queen Titania with tape on in Flame of Fur, which ended up coming out. And if you didn't get Flame of Fur, just use like Urska Crown or something. It's pretty much the entire meta of Nintendo Switch right now is Yagwe Queen Titania and Dragon Eye teams. Because Nintendo Switch still has pre-nerf Dragon's Eye. That's probably going to change next patch. But even after it gets next patch, unless it's bringing in a lot of older content, Yagwe Queen Titania is still going to be meta. Even on the base game of the game, like on PC Mobile and everything else, like, you know, everything other than Switch version, Yagwe Queen Titania is still insanely good. I personally don't use it much, but I know some people do. Still one of the better teams out there, even after like a year of content. What do we take here? Let's grab a purple for now. Grab a red over. Okay, sometimes there's an extra space in it. Normally at the back. For whatever reason, when copying on YouTube, it ends up adding an extra space for no reason whatsoever. Not sure why, but that's yet another weird thing with YouTube. There we go. 4 more. Just grab our little pet there. Mainly just need the white pet food. But I guess anything other than those little brown jewels would be beneficial. Now let's move that over for now. Get a key down. Hopefully get some red and stuff in there. Let's go key to key. Oh, I don't have enough gold for that, do I? You know what? I'm actually going to go and gold up a little bit because that's not going to be enough. Now it is. And hopefully that's full mana off all the browns. 1 short. And then let's kill it with the thing right there. Yep, no problem for the code, everyone. If anyone still has any other questions, let me know. But I'll probably finish out this pet, finish out the current floor we're on for the Tower of Doom. And probably call it a stream for now. And then tomorrow night we'll finish out the last of Tower of Doom. Last little few floors we need. And then Friday we get a new faction. And then we're going to be busy with that for a while, that's for sure. We're going to be busy with the new faction for all this weekend. Especially if I'm going for pure faction. And I'm probably going to go for pure faction. It's by far going to be the most annoying pure faction we've ever done in the history of this game. Probably ever. But we are doing it. I believe I am going to do it. Might as well get it out the way now. But yeah, it is going to be ridiculously hard. I'll probably waste like 3,000 gems on it or something. Well, we'll see how it goes. Oh no, we might. I'm still hesitant because it is probably going to cost like 3,000 gems. And I'm not even joking. It probably is somewhere around that range of 300. Or 3,000, I mean. If it was only 300, that'd be really easy. But no, it is probably around that amount. We'll see. I both do and don't want to try for it. Because I know it is going to be costly if we do. Okay, we'll go destroy all that. However, we do have instant kill. So if our instant kill could get luckier than the enemy's instant kill, we could theoretically get it done pretty easily. The kingdom does have a 20% instant kill, and while it's not going to be as high as Lady Mirana's, that is still not too bad. Lady Mirana would normally hit about a 30% or so, though it was conditional on purples on the board. But normally it was around about a 30%, because that's about 10 purples on the board. Would have been a 30%, which it normally would have had. But yeah, this new thing that's coming in is going to have a 20%, but you have to have a storm in play. As long as there's a storm in place, 20% instant kill. If you get lucky with that 4 times in a row, then you should be fine for the battles. Particularly the first and last battle. Those are going to be the 2 most annoying. But yeah, it's going to be kind of pure luck based, while also simultaneously being very annoying, because the enemy can also get that luck, and they can summon every single time they take an extra turn. So you have to be really ridiculously careful not to extra turn. Plus, in order for you to have an instant kill, you have to have a storm in play, which is going to make it even higher chance that the enemy ends up getting an extra turn. Of course, you'll be able to summon 2 off of extra turns. However, your team will increasingly keep getting weaker the more you do that. I'm pretty sure the way to do it is going to be like 2 of the legend with one of like each of the other 2. I don't think you're going to go 1 of each, even though that would give you higher stats. I believe you would need 2 of the legend just to make sure you have the higher chance of summon, just in case the team starts failing. But anyways, there's all the pet food and everything. Let's just go finish out this Tower of Doom floor and just call it a night for now. Let's see, what do we need? We need a... That was it, because we're not doing the haste. So, yep, let's go right into the boss room then. And that'll be our final battle for now. Yeah, does anyone else have any other questions? Otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow, same time as always, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 hour prior to now tomorrow. And we're mainly going to be finishing out Tower of Doom, as well as maybe going over the faction troops again. Mentioned them a couple times. I might just go over them again, since, of course, we're getting a new faction this Friday. The background for it looks really weird, though. And by background for it, I mean there literally is no background for it. Dungeons? I'll be doing dungeons off stream, if I even do them at all. I'll probably just do them off stream. Should only take like half an hour. What do I do here? Let's go for the greens right there. Yeah, I do need to try getting a little bit more shards. I'm a little over 14,000 right now. However, you do have 5 mythic treasures. That should be able to carry it quite a bit to 200. Obviously, that alone is not enough to get it all the way there, but it's a pretty nice amount of EXP. Not to mention whatever else we get from all of our shards we currently have. Also, the rate of shards technically increases starting next patch. Not because that delves will be giving more, that it won't be. However, what is coming next patch is the ability to get shards off of your daily task. And by daily task, I mean adventure board. Shards is a possible option on adventure board. And I believe any day that you get shards is basically free 200 shards. So it's basically 1 whole delve's worth of shards from a single task of it. So it's actually not too bad. A whole extra day worth of shards simply for doing your adventure board on the shard thingy. One of the few good things that's on it. That and gems, of course. And I believe some of the key ones. Did you just say dungeons take half an hour? Yes, dungeons take half an hour. Oh, sorry. I thought you said, factions. My bad. My bad. Yeah, I thought you meant factions. My bad. No, dungeons take like 3 minutes. Or 2 minutes. Depends on the team you use. And if you're farming them for EXP on a hero class. What did I take here? Let's grab, is that enough to kill? It should be. Okay, let me go do dungeons as well, before I forget. I almost forgot to do it last night. I did it like 10 minutes before reset time on the Nintendo Switch account. I remembered on my main account, I just sometimes almost forget on Nintendo Switch. I think I only missed it on Switch like twice. Or 3 times maybe, because most of those were when I was away. But anyways, let me go clear this out real quick. Not with this though. Let me go find a, we'll use key team, I guess. Should be fine. Where did my key team go? Let's roll it down with this. Yeah, that makes more sense, yeah. Yeah, dungeons take like 1 minute each. They are planning on doing something with this into the future. They didn't mention anything about it on Q&A, though they have mentioned it in the past that they want to kind of revamp dungeons to have a way that you can do it a little bit harder if you want on a given day, but give you more rewards for doing so. Because obviously right now, dungeons are way, way too easy for late game and end game. Well, even if for mid game players, it's pretty much a cakewalk. Only early game is it really like a decent challenge. But they are planning on doing like something to it that might give you a little bit more rewards, but it'll make the battles harder. But they are planning on like revamping dungeons as well. They're planning on revamping a lot of things. Dungeon's one of them. That wasn't something they specifically mentioned, so I'm not sure if it's going to be in 4.5 or 4.6 or this year. But it is something that they have mentioned that they are probably going to get around to. Hopefully it doesn't become too much more time consuming though. Because it's actually nice that this doesn't take that much time to go do dungeons. Because they're somewhat decent loot for how quick they are. At least the amount of diamonds they give is pretty decent loot relative to how quick they are. 20 diamonds per day and like 80 or 70 or whatever it is on Sundays. Not even counting the shards or the jewels, which you also get on top of that. Which are both pretty irrelevant, but mostly the diamonds that are worth it. How do you think the diamond economy will change for mid to late game players if we need to waste them on crafting weapons? Well, you don't have to waste them on crafting weapons. You would only craft the weapons that are good. Because now that they're 100% adding every single old event weapon that used to exist in the past into the Soul Forge, you will simply be able to go and get them at any time. No, well, not literally any time, but like any year, you'd be able to rotate around back to them. So it's not really going to be that big a deal. You would just only take really key weapons like Earth's Fury, Trickster Shot, Yasmin's Pride, stuff like that. You wouldn't craft literally every weapon you ever see. You could if you wanted to. Obviously, late game and end game players will do that, especially if you had a resource stack somewhat similar to this. You're obviously buying every single weapon the second they come out. But for newer players and mid game players, you only really get the ones you need. So if you see something that you know you're going to use, you would end up getting it. But for all the other ones, you just kind of ignore them and wait until they rotate back around when you have a resource amount that's basically infinite, and just kind of wait it out. But yeah, initially you won't really be crafting too many of them unless it's a really, really useful one like Trickster Shot, Pride, Yasmin's Pride, or something like that. But I don't know, they're still not too expensive even if you were to do that, because they're only going to be about 20% more than what they normally are. So for example, crafting something like, let's say, Earth's Fury would probably only be about 20% more than what you see here. Plus diamonds. It will cost some amount of diamonds, I believe. But yeah, it's not going to cost that much at all. Like 20% more than that isn't really that much. All the Doom weapons will cost about 20% more than this, so probably about 1,000 diamonds, 60,000 souls, 2,500 blue, and like 10 celestials probably, which isn't really that big of a difference to be able to get something like one of the good Doom weapons or something like that. But most of them will be quite a bit less expensive than this, like the legendary ones. I'm not sure why these don't have diamond costs on them. I never even realized they don't have diamond. They have like a gem cost instead. But like these are only going to be like 20% more for those. The epic rarity ones are only going to be about 20% more than this, probably with a diamond cost as well attached to it. They're not going to be that bad. We still don't know their exact prices, but we'll know starting in about a week or two about what they're going to cost from an actual value-wise. Diamonds are only resource you're short on now. Yeah, that can happen quite a bit, because diamonds you tend to use a lot until you have every mythic in the game. And getting every mythic in the game takes, like, realistically more towards 2 years. It can theoretically be done in 1 year. But getting every mythic in the game, or close to every mythic in the game, does take more towards 2 years. However, you can get all the relevant mythics easily within your first year of playing the game. Like at least like a core 10 mythics for most of the stuff within the game. Just getting literally all of them is what takes a little bit longer. But most of the mythics are dead content anyways, so not really that big a deal in that regard. Anyways, guys, I'll be heading out for now. Thanks so much for stopping by. Leave a like if you enjoyed the stream. We'll be back, as I mentioned, tomorrow night, about an hour and a half prior to now tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're mainly going to be finishing out Tower of Doom, and yeah, that's basically it. Maybe some more of the event objective. And then Friday, and for the rest of the weekend, main focus will be the new faction. We are getting a new faction this Friday. That faction is going to be the, it actually shows it right there. I forget what its name is, never mind. But we're getting a new faction this Friday, 1 day, 5 hours from now. And, yeah, we'll be messing around with that, getting full completion on it, and getting the grind down on that, and probably getting some cute pet. It is like a harpy thing, so we're probably getting some kind of harpy pet. I actually didn't bother double checking yet. There should be something pretty cute. Maybe we'll get an eagle. Do we have an eagle pet yet? I believe they had one. I don't think we got one yet. Or did they do it for 4th of July? Never mind, they already did it for 4th of July. But, yeah, I'll be getting that and a bunch of other stuff. But mainly the faction event this weekend. Anyways, guys, thanks for stopping by. Oh, wait, big question. What to use in Tower instead of Champion of Anu? Well, you don't need Champion of Anu in Tower right now. Tower of Doom, I would say the main thing you need for Blue Tower of Doom is Triple Dwarven Gate into Earth's Fury. Earth's Fury, Apothecary, anything, ideally with some form of Skull Spam. Or you can do Mang into Queen Jezebel if you have it. Or you can run Iron Gut if you happen to own Iron Gut. Something like Mountain Crusher, Apothecary, Iron Gut, and what we're running with Mirage Queen. Those are the several options that you probably have. So Triple Dwarven Gate Mang with Mang up front with Titan. Mang Apothecary with any 2 damage sources. Mang Queen Jezebel with any 2 anythings. Ideally one with mana generation. And just what we're using for Tower of Doom. Either any of those 4 or 5 options would work. But anyways, guys, I'll catch all of you later. Oh yeah, the Bones emoji pack thing is available. They are starting to slowly add all the old emoji packs and stuff to the game. The way that these work, I still haven't covered it in the video. I don't think I mentioned on the thing. Oh, I can actually get one right now. Yay! We can actually get some of them now. I didn't realize. But yeah, we finally got these. These were added from the most recent week then, most likely. But yeah, as you can see, literally right here, if I click on this, it'll purchase it for 50. I should probably do this for a video real quick or something. I'm not sure. But just kind of mentioning it or something. But yeah, you can get these. I mentioned it in stream a couple times. But yeah, if I click on this, I'm pretty sure it'll bring up a warning menu or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, the old portraits and old titles that you might not have, they cost 25 gems each. And the old emoji packs cost 50 gems each. I'm not sure if the ones with multiple cost more, but I believe they're all just 50 gems. They're really cheap to reobtain. Like 25 gems and 50 gems is basically 0 gems. Not really that bad at all. Relative to buying these during their events. Like, for example, these 4 right here, they cost like 850 more than what I already spent just to go get them. So I'm obviously not getting them now. It's the other reason why I don't have this. I keep skipping it on Tower of Doom weeks, because there's no point in wasting that many to get it on Tower of Doom weeks, which is what this one was from. So it looks like every 2 months they seem to cycle, because this was from Tower of Doom 2 months ago, the Paul print set. But yeah, you can just simply click on them, you buy them, boom, you get them. Actually, you know what? I will go click on it. Okay, it does bring up confirmation. Do you want to purchase the Paul thing for 50 gems? But yeah, you get these back in later in time. So yeah, if you ever don't get any of them, you can just buy them for a small amount of gems. Obviously, they're fully cosmetic. There's no point in owning them. But for full completionists, you might want to get them just for the sake of having them. They're definitely one of the last things you'd want to focus on, though, because they are really useless. But I'll still be getting all of them just because why not? Anyways, guys, I'll catch all of you later. Thanks for stopping by, and goodbye, everyone!